Why we are the richest people in the world, but yet the poorest people in the world. Instead of eating at the table, we're eating under the table. We're eating under the table. Why? Because we don't want to hear the truth.
Why is it that the richest continent on earth, the go-to place for the world, is painted as the poorest? And I am not going to mince my words. The truth of the matter is the world needs Africa. Africa does not need the world. We have everything we need on earth. We could paralyze the world economies. Take a simple thing. Like we decide DRC can no longer export its coltan. That alone can paralyze the world. So rather than us Africans concentrating on the issues that matter, concentrating on issues that we need to take home, like telling France that 500 billion you're taking out of Africa every year, no more. France needs to be the third world developing country, not Africa.
Africa is rich in natural resources more than some continents in the world, yet remains the poorest. And a good example is DRC Congo, which is the richest country in the world in terms of natural resources. If the Africans don't change their instincts and ideologies, living may be more miserable in the near future. Anybody vying for any political position has already made plans to send his children to Western universities and arrange for medical bills beyond the shores of Africa. The question is, what is wrong with the education system in Africa? What is wrong with our African hospitals? They know that we need to fund our own universities, and we are capable to making our institutions to meet world standards if we want. Unfortunately, funds are approved and never used for the purpose for which they are approved. We are experiencing a decay and terrible rot in the education center at present. So why will they patronize such schools? The worst is even the health sector. No hospitals in some parts of the country, even if there are no facilities, and those that have few facilities are ridiculously expensive, not meant for poor civil servants and farmers because they cannot afford it.
But Ambassador, there's a lot of corruption. I'll say yes, I agree with you. Some might say we have corruption. The numbers are saying about $50 billion leaves Africa to Europe through corruption. Well, I'm saying, who is receiving that money? You see, it takes two to tango. I can't be corrupt by myself. So while we talk about corruption in Africa, let's also talk about the corruptors who are receiving that $50 billion. That's one. Secondly, if you want to talk about the $50 billion that's coming out of Africa, claiming that the leaders are taking the money, yes, we do have some, very few African leaders that are not doing it by their people. The majority of the African leaders are doing very well by their people. Be it as it may, you take 50 billion through corruption. France alone is taking out of Africa 500 to 600 billion every year. So if we want to talk about this 50 billion, we must also talk about the 500 billion. That is just France alone. We're not talking about Germany. We're not talking about Belgium. We're not talking about Britain. Are you with me? It's upwards of billions of dollars are coming out of Africa. Nobody wants to touch this 10,000 pound gorilla. I am saying, in order for us to really look at 21st century Africa, we must understand our history that continues to be alive and well in our lives today. And guess who needs to make that change? Who needs to get that understanding and realization? It's you and I.
This is a continent where a senator is collecting allowances of 66,000 every month, building mansions and buying houses abroad and paying taxes for those houses. This is awful and reckless. A governor will not pay workers for more than 7 months. How do you expect such people to have a good life? Most people suffer from birth till death, while others get richer every day. This is a continent where politicians are worshipped by gullible young men who are supposed to stand up for their rights. No steady power supply, no good roads, no aid for farmers. It's unfortunate folks are suffering and smiling instead of demanding accountability, justice and honesty from our puppetized leaders. We are under the waters, yet with so much leather in our eyes. What a nation.
The reason we are saying no to corruption is because we are not a poor country and Africa is not a poor continent. We are a very rich continent. but our main enemy is corruption. So if our leaders, you would listen to us.
This is common to most African leaders. They are not ready to serve, but to be served. They are just grazing as they want while their people are dying of hunger every day. Is it a curse, or where do we get it wrong? So let me know what you think about this video in the comment section, and your time is indeed appreciated.